Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Madals and this is the Plantonics Gaming UK Open. We're in map number 2 of the best of 3 semi-final between two awesome players. And spawning down in the bottom right hand position, we've got the pink Zerg player representing Vega Squadron and currently 1-0 up. None other than JonnyREcco. And his opponent, to the top left, the red Protoss player, representing FM Esports, needing to win this game to have the hopes of staying in the tournament alive, Boombox. So who's going to be able to take this game? I think it's all going to depend on strategy the Boombox employs. JonnyREcco defended Boombox's Immortal Sentry play in map number 1 pretty cleanly. And that's because, and I'm going to theory craft a little bit here and go a little bit out there on a limb, but I've casted a lot of JonnyREcco games, so I'm quite confident in doing so. Rico is a macro, or has predominantly throughout his StarCraft career, been a macro-orientated player. He's always played Zerg and had to contend with just so many Immortal Sentry all-ins throughout Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm. So, what he therefore is great at is defending against Protoss all-ins to get to the late game where he's more comfortable. As a result, Boombox is throwing up against JonnyREcco, something that he's very used to dealing with and has dealt with for years. I'd like to see Boombox go for something a bit more out of the ordinary and try and tax JonnyREcco, not on something that he's experienced in, but in something a bit unique. And that's something that we've seen Boombox do in previous tournaments. He's able to throw out unusual builds. And that's the sort of thing where I think Boombox may be able to take the game a bit more effectively. For the moment though, Boombox adding his Cybercore on 1 gas, not doing anything too crazy. JonnyREcco did go for the hatch first, so hatch into pool. Something that's got a lot more common recently. Drone coming up, ready to take the third base 2. So a very early third coming through there. All looking nice and good. Very fine and happy. Boombox takes his natural base as well. Key thing I'm looking for is whether or not Boombox does take his second gas in the main. If he doesn't, it's incredibly likely that he'll be going for a mass zealot based composition to harass this third. The reason he might do that is because he saw the drone coming up, I believe, and therefore knows that that third's been taken early. And it's a build that's very popular with a lot of Protoss players, but it isn't going to be coming, as there's the second gas. That immediately means that there isn't going to be a big Zealot play. There's no need for that gas if it was going to be. Meanwhile, Rico droning, and just continuing to drone more, because that's what he likes to do. Interesting move here by Boombox, adding in that forge. Didn't get a forge last game, just instead rushed out the robotic facility. Getting the upgrades can always be solid. Specifically, +1 attack can be incredibly potent for Protoss players. Simply because it means that Zealots 2-shotlings rather than 3-shot. Incredibly more effective up against Zerglings. Can still lead into an Immortal Sentry play with that +1. Hits a bit harder. Have to wait and see exactly what Boombox does have planned. Rico got his lings in, saw that the natural base is being taken. He's going to want to scout what tech's coming. Should sacrifice these overlords through at about 6 to 7 minutes. Is generally a good time in game to send your overlords in to get the scout. That should be when key tech is down. Otherwise, not too much else to talk about, just these 2 gates being added in, as you'll always see. It's really the third structure built that's more of a giveaway. Boombox is sending a probe down the left hand side. Going to be interested to see what he does with that. Should just be for proxy pylons. Nothing too sneaky. And right on cue, 6 minutes 30, in goes JonnyREcco to try and scout out what his opponent has planned. Isn't on an intercept course as of yet to find the forge, so isn't going to know about that. And that may mean that he has to sacrifice in that second overlord, just to confirm. Probe did try and come through there, hasn't yet placed down a pylon. Spine's already coming through. It's going to be a third from Boombox, but it gets scouted by Rico very early on. Literally as it's placed. Massive scout there. from JonnyREcco. He's got two ways to deal with this now. He can either pump a lot of units, which he's not going to do as he starts droning, to try and take it down, or he can just rush up a 4th base. Depends how confident he's feeling. The spine is still going to be allowed to finish, just in case there's any poking or prodding coming through. The 6 queens out in the field are going to allow for an absolutely insane amount of creep spread to come through. And one of the great things about Habitation Station for a Zerg player is because there's so many avenues, you can creep spread very quickly with a decent number of queens because they're quite narrow. But it makes it very difficult for your opponent to clear out that creep spread because of all those different avenues. Down goes that hallucinated Phoenix. Isn't going to see units coming through. There's a handful of Lings getting ready to go and attack. Robotic Facility now on its way. Photon Cannon supported by 2 pylons and a gateway, just preventing the Lings from being able to close up that distance. Creep spread still making good progress through the middle, to the left, and now to the right on both avenues. Very nicely done here. Recco getting the 1-1 melee upgrade, so that usually is going to mean a rush up into Ultralisks. And that's because that's the only real tech path you can go with +1 melee attack. Isn't really anything else that's viable. Blink coming through now for Boombox, as well as that Immortal coming down. He's got +2 attack on its way, so very upgrade heavy style at the moment from Boombox. JonnyREcco just repositioning up that spine. Hasn't yet taken the 4th, but he's about to. Drone there giving away his intentions. His lair on its way through. If it is going to be a quick tech to Ultra, once the lair is done, boom, instantly there should be an infestation pit ready to go up into Hive. Macro Hatch also being added in here for Recco now. Meanwhile, Boombox, Blink, and +2 making steady progress. His Immortal count about to go up to 2. No sign of any splash yet from him. No Colossi, no High Templar with Storm. And that does actually make Boombox vulnerable to a very heavy Zergling composition, which is ideally what Recco's going to be aiming for. He's adding in a good number of spines. His creep spread, of course, can see that a pylon's coming down there, up on the high ground, but not too much else. We've got drones now transferring towards the 4th, ready to take those 2 gases. The gas is essential. The lair is done, but interestingly, a Spire actually coming out here, so it's not going to be a quick rush into Ultras, but instead going to be a very heavy Mutalisk composition. And I like that on this map. There's a lot of dead space around, and it can be incredibly potent. Unfortunately for Recco though, Blink is already done. And while Blink Stalkers aren't the best in the world up against a high number of Mutalisks, they are good against a smaller number of Mutas. The Spines also support the fact that this is going to be a very Muta heavy composition, because Mutas aren't great in a head up fight. They're good at harassing and poking and prodding until they get into very high numbers. And so the static defense grants Recco the opportunity to get out that very high number of Mutalisks. Looks like Boombox though got the scout down, knows the Spire's coming, so immediately starts up the double Stargates. That's for double Phoenix production. Unfortunately, Recco scouted immediately, and therefore knows that this is coming. Pumping out an awfully large number of Zerglings. He's going to be going up to, well, 72 there. More Spines also coming down. Pathogen Glands 2-2 on its way, as well as the Hive. So we are still going to be seeing Ultras, just not incredibly fast as I thought initially. 4th base of Recco, going to start taking some poke and prod damage. There's so many Lings here though. Mothership Corp does have enough energy for both a Mass Recall and a Time Warp. Not getting focused yet. Lings trying to find another angle to move in at. But these force fields are very good from Boombox. The Infestor's not going to be hitting in time, and Spine's being forced to move over. Simultaneously, Zealots warped in towards the main, but there's 3 defensive Spines and a lot of Lings. Recco just doing his utmost to buy himself time at this 4th base. Doesn't want to lose it unnecessarily. Needs these 2 gas geysers. Mass Recall forced, and Boombox backs on out. Recco defends nicely. His main will be fine because the Spines, Lings and Queens can easily stop just Zealots. No real big concern there. Still looking good, still looking solid. And, well, the double Colossus and now double Phoenix production coming through. But the Phoenix aren't going to be that strong when there's Ultras on the cards. The Mutalisks never have been produced after the double Stargate has been seen. The hive is finished, but no sign of the Ultralisk Cavern as of yet, but it should be coming fairly soon. Greater Spire actually going to be the option here, so we're not even going into Ultras, it's going to be Broodlords. Very unusual strategy from Rico. Not hugely common, not since Wings of Liberty anyway, where Broodlord Infestor was the go-to build. But this could be cool. They're going to have decent upgrades, Adrenal Glands is coming down as well for those Lings. We're now approaching the 15-minute mark in this game. And while there are the double Stargates out, Phoenix are not an effective counter to Broodlords, because Broodlords are armoured, they're pretty tanky, and Phoenix only do bonus damage to light units. But oh no, this could be tragic. In come a lot of Lings. The main base is defending by cannons, but the natural base has nothing there. Huge amounts of workers killed there. 15 probes go down. The main cleaned up, the natural base will also be defended easily as the units come back, but nice little play there. Spores stopping those Phoenix from being able to harass. Unfortunately, the Investors couldn't get down a fungal growth. Boombox still staying on top of things. JonnyREcco adding in the Ultimate Cavern now, as well as a massive Lings heading up here towards the 4th. They've got 2-2 now. Adrenal Glands hasn't quite kicked in yet, but the Nexus is getting completely surrounded. It's going to fall. Definitely now. And that's a nice pick-up. Infestors coming over too. They need to be a bit careful. Good. Blink forward there by the Stalkers, catching a good number of those Infestors actually. Quite a few of them go down, but the Chain Fungal is now going to be quite painful. Those Sentries die, probably equaling out the amount of gas loss for both sides, but a base was also taken down by Rico. Corruptors now coming through, they're going to become Broodlords. More Lings, may see a few Ultralisks. The Infestor count, relatively low, now it's 6. Going back up to 8 though. 8 Infestors is a good number. High Templar though, they're also hitting the field, becoming Archons instantly though. A few High Templar would have been nice just for the feedbacks against the Infestors, to pop them nice and fast. Rico still out expanding his opponent as he takes his 5th. As well as a good number of Lings getting ready for another counter-attack into the natural base. The natural 3rd and main all vulnerable. There's only one cannon in the main, more trying to come down, but it's the natural base that's going to get destroyed. Adrenal Glands, of course, make these Lings very, very effective. The Lings just heading straight back up into the main now. Going to just try and get a few more worker kills. Going straight for the Fleet Beacon, actually, and this is a smart move. He does not want Tempest to come out. Down he goes. That's a nice pick-off. Tempest would counter the Broodlords very well. Quick little burrow, and actually the only observer on the map is down to the natural base. Does Boombox know it's there? Doesn't grab it yet. Those Lings being very irritating. The Fleet Beacon was restarted temporarily, but was then cancelled. Looks like not planning to go there. The Lings unburrowed, but do get taken down pretty much instantly. 4th base back up for Boombox now. Rico knows he doesn't have a 5th, but the Broodlord Infestor Queen army coming across the map now. And there are 10 Broodlords. That is a lot of damage, especially with 3-3 melee armor coming down now. That means the Broodling is going to hit hard and take a lot of damage. The Stalker count is only at 12. And with a decent number of Infestors, it's going to be exceptionally hard for this to get shut down. Especially with just so many Queens. There's 11 Queens here. Boombox can't see this coming yet. Sees the Broodlings now though, and that could be scary for him. Knows something's up. His army pulled a long way out to the left. He may actually try and base race this. Not going to. Pulls back momentarily. The Broodlord's in a very safe position here, just shelling in towards the 3rd. Dark Shrine coming through. +3. Melee attack done for those Broodlings. The Corruptors trying to scare back those Colossi. The anti-air though really limited. The Transfuse is coming through very nicely. The Broodlord staying up. Brilliant Transfuse micro from JonnyREcco. All the Broodlords alive. The Corruptors tearing through those Colossi. The Infestors able to get some nice damage down. GG is called, and JonnyREcco is the first finalist tonight as he advances 2-0 over Boombox.